everyone, I am Colesy, and today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 because it is releasing very, very soon. So I want to go over some of the positives, negatives, the opinions on it. There's a lot of buzz, talk, hype, negativity. So I figured I'd make a video to discuss some of those, and basically, really, we're going to see when the Switch launches, how many of these things turn out to be true, how many were mistakes. When we get the Switch 2, we will be clear on those things, but I figured it's worth discussing, pointing those out today, just to refresh our minds on things we want to check out when the Switch 2 gets here. And don't forget to subscribe, because there will be some day one Switch 2 content coming out on this channel, so be sure to subscribe. It's no surprise, I am actually very excited for the Switch 2. I actually went and played on the Switch 2, so I actually have a slight bit more experience than maybe a lot of people do have. I have played the Switch 2 for a couple of hours on a bunch of different games. I've tried out the new features. So if you want to go and check that video out where I discuss all that stuff in more detail, I'll leave a link in the description. But we're going to go over some people's opinions, what some people are concerned about with the Switch 2, and hopefully try and settle some people's minds. Now, positive-wise, I'm looking forward to it, right? I'm not hiding that. I enjoy the Switch. I enjoy Nintendo games. I grew up as a Nintendo gamer on the N64. So yeah, I am definitely in the category of being a Nintendo enjoyer. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to take these worries, these concerns that people have, not seriously, because I agree. There are things like the price of games going up, which is not great. Like, we all wish we could get cheaper games. There is no doubt in my mind about that. But unfortunately, the way of the world is these things are expensive. They take a lot of time to make, and really their value is probably higher than they have been charging, in my opinion. Obviously, we want our games to be as cheap as possible because we would like to spend as little as possible on these things. We'd like our fuel to be as cheap as possible. We'd like our food to be as cheap as possible. But realistically, we don't have control over these things. So if you want to not buy the game in order to boycott it and make a point, then feel free to do that. I totally accept that. But I am going to enjoy these games. I know I'm going to enjoy them, so I'm happy to pay a little bit more for them. It's not like I'm buying games every week. It's something that is a luxury and a treat, and something I want to enjoy every couple months. I want to enjoy a new game or something. I think that's fairly reasonable. Now, the price of the console, I actually think is very reasonable. So the console price with the Mario Kart bundle, Mario Kart World is up there as one of the poster children for being expensive games. And yes, it is expensive. If you buy the bundle, it's not. And I don't know whether Nintendo did that to make you buy the bundle, because I don't see why you would buy the Switch 2 without the game rather than buying the bundle personally, because then you get the game pretty cheap, and also you have a new game to play on your new console. But I get it. I get the price is high on the game. Anyway, the price of the console I think is actually pretty reasonable. Now, the console is a big improvement on the Switch 1. Multiple reasons. It has better resolution, it has better performance, all of this stuff. A lot of improvements have been made. That's clearly what updated consoles should do. They should be an improvement on the last one. They should do something different. They should do what they didn't do well better. They should do what they did well better. In my opinion, having touched, felt, played the Switch 2, it's gonna do those things. So I think actually the price is reasonable. Yes, the price is, I wouldn't say it's cheap. It's not a cheap console, but I would also say it's not quite as expensive as I imagined it could go. I imagined it could go to sort of £500. I wouldn't have been happy if it went that high, but in my brain, knowing that the world seems to be more expensive at the minute, knowing the price of the Switch 1 when it came out, I expected the price to be about where it was. I was thinking around the £400 range. The console on its own is just under £400, and the console with the bundle of Mario Kart World is just over £400. So I think that seems to be the region that I was thinking. So if you think the console is expensive, you think it's too expensive, is that just because you want it to be cheaper? Like the games, we want it to be cheaper, right? I wish they'd bring out and say it was £100. I wish they'd bring out and go, we're just going to give them away, actually. We're just going to, £50. Who wants to Switch to? You have to be realistic and look at things, and I think realistically the price, I think it's fair. If you don't think it's fair, I'd love to hear your reasons why in the comments, but having played with it and having known how much I enjoyed my Switch 1 and having seen how much of a improvement the Switch 2 is going to be, I think it's worth the money. I'm going to go over now to GameJolt. If you haven't checked out GameJolt, go check it out. Cool little community there. We're going to go through the concerns that some people have had. Physical cartridges contain a key and not the entire game. Weirdly, with most games, I'm not too bothered about physical. However, with Nintendo, quite like physical games, right? All my Switch 1 games, if I could get a physical version and it wasn't significantly more expensive, I wanted to get the physical version. It's nice to have the collection. It's nice to have it sat there on a shelf. It's nice to be able to see it. It's nice to be able to display it. It's nice to have those games. I understand that physical means that, you know, if a game for some reason was taken away, you own that game. That's your game. You can play it. They can't take that away from you other than come into your house and take it out of your hand, which they cannot do. I understand in the aspect of keeping the game alive. Even long after the game has been, you know, removed from stores and all this stuff, it's important to have the physical. I get that. I totally understand that. And that is a concern. But in terms of being kind of more of a digital game than a physical game, the card accessing as a key that basically unlocks and allows you to then download the game, I don't have a huge problem with it. Because, one, you're still getting that nice collection thing. They're at least giving you something. I mean, it would be worse if they just fully went, we're not doing physical anymore. It's pointless. It costs extra. We're just going to let you download them from the store. And no, that's not really the same thing, because the whole point, like I said, about collecting physical is it's yours and you have it. If it's just a key, then if they do shut down a store in future, you know, many, many years down the line, hopefully, but they shut down a store, then that key doesn't access anything if there's nothing to download. If they remove the download, you can't then get the game. Yes, that's a problem. The thing for me is I'm predominantly a PC gamer. I play a lot of PC games, and do you know how long it's been since I've owned a physical PC game? It has been years and years. PC gaming has been digital only for a super long time. I don't even know if it technically is digital only. I don't know if you can still get modern games physically on PC. Honestly, I have never had a problem with it. Now, that might be just me being lucky. I might just have been lucky. I've never got a game that then was taken away that I was like, God damn it, I love that damn game. It's just not happened. I understand there's a worry in case it does happen, but it hasn't happened to me. I've not experienced that, and I don't think that's going to happen with Nintendo, so I don't mind. I don't mind. Obviously, we're going to get, like, it means that, oh, the game's not even on there. I'm going to have to download it, and it's going to have to download and install, which is annoying. But that's been happening for years with, like, I remember Xbox games, you'd get it, and half the game would still have to download. That's just how games have been. Games have got bigger, and they can't fit on the cartridges or the discs anymore. Maybe that's the reason that Nintendo are doing it, because physically they couldn't store it on there. I don't know. I can't say for definite, but it's not a huge concern to me. I understand in some aspects why it might be a concern. It's not a huge concern to me. That's the whole cartridges being keys and not physical games. I can see it. I can see it. I get it. So this one says Nintendo can brick the console for unauthorized modification. Again, I cannot verify this because I do not know if this is the case, but they're saying, you know, they're worried that if you replace, say, a joystick, which we did a lot on the Switch one, I still have joysticks that I need to replace on my Joy-Cons. They would wear out. You know, we'd replace them. Now, they're worried that doing something like this would then count as you messing around with the console, and therefore they can brick it. I've heard this a lot, that people are saying, you don't own the console. It's not your console. You can't do what you want with it. They'll brick you. They'll stop you. And to be honest, I don't think, for starters, that changing a joystick or replacing a screen or anything like that, if you do it yourself, I don't think they're going to brick your console for that. I don't see that making sense, for starters, for them to do that. And I don't see them having a system where it's linked specifically to, like, that joystick has like a specific number and it's linked to the motherboard, and if you change it out for one that's not been like activated, it's not going to work and it'll know that that's a different joystick. I don't think they'll have done that. I don't think so. I don't know. Again, we're not going to know this until we actually get hands-on with the Switch 2. And I'm not going to be taking my Switch 2 apart if I can help it at all. That will be something we find out in future. I don't see how that makes sense. A similar thing which I found out about probably about a year or two ago was I bought an Xbox 360. And I bought an older Xbox 360 and then eventually the disk drive stopped working. And I thought, okay, no, like I think I can replace that. I can do that. I've done little replacements, repairing of technology stuff before. That's not a problem. I'm pretty sure that won't be too difficult. The problem is they did have that system in the Xbox 360s. The physical drive was tied to like the motherboard. So even if you put an identical drive in from the identical brand, because they had multiple brands that make the different drives. So there was like a HP one and a whatever brand one. Even if you got the exact same brand one from like a model that was the exact same year, it would have a different like serial number that wouldn't match and the console wouldn't work. I think that sucks. I don't like that. I agree. If that is the case, that is crap, because I don't like that. That's dumb. Didn't like it on that Xbox, have never fixed that Xbox 360 because of this issue. Yes, there are ways around it, but if it's something that's happening on the Switch 2 that you can't even replace a joystick or a screen if you break it, I don't like that. You should always be able to repair your own stuff, and they should make it as easy as possible to do that. I think that's just the way forward, whether it's phones, tablets, consoles, whatever. I think that's how it should be. You should be able to. Don't get me wrong, if you want to send it to Nintendo and have it done properly, like by a professional that knows what they're doing entirely and isn't going to fudge it, do that. It's a great idea. But if you want to save a bit of money and do it yourself and maybe learn a little bit, or maybe you just trust yourself to do that, that's fine. Or you're happy to take the risk. If you do break something worse, then it's going to cost you more to get it repaired properly. I think you should be able to do that. So I hope that isn't the case. But then looking at it from the aspect of you don't want people to mod, you don't want people to, you know, find a way of reverse engineering the Switch so they can create an emulator. I understand Nintendo's standpoint in not wanting people to do that because that would affect the sales of their console. So I can understand in some aspect if you fudge around with it, if you try and mess with it, they can ban you. I'm pretty sure they've been doing that on consoles and stuff for a while. If you try to mod it to have an unfair advantage in online gaming, for example, if they detect that, same with PC gaming. If there's cheat engines, if they detect them, they detect this cheats that you're using, they'll ban you. That just makes sense. Stop cheating. Just play the game how it's meant to be played. But yes, if it's just simple repair things, they should be fine. I hope they're fine, and we'll find out. We'll find out as time comes. Probably not day one, because whoever's breaking their Switch day one and has to repair it, they've had the worst start to owning a Switch 2. We've also got here, the rumor is that we'll need internet to play any game, so useless in a city bus or college or anywhere. I think this is completely false. The Switch 2, like the Switch 1, is a portable console. Now, obviously, if you're trying to play an online game, you're trying to play Mario Kart online, you're not going to be able to play it if you're not online. That makes sense. We all agree. But I don't think they'll have taken away the fact that you can play like a Grand Prix on Mario Kart just disconnected from the internet. Now, yes, you will have to have internet to do updates. You will have to have internet. I know you'll have to have internet day one to do a day one patch, which then activates the Switch 2, which makes sense. Again, Nintendo want to protect leaks and people getting consoles early, so the day one patch makes sense. I get it. So yeah, you'll need to have internet to do that, which I think is fairly reasonable. We all have access to internet a lot of the time. We're on our phones. We have our Wi-Fi in our homes, all this stuff. I don't think it's unreasonable to want some access of internet at some point, but I don't think you're going to have internet the whole time. It entirely ruins the point of the Switch being portable if you can't take it in a field in the middle of nowhere and just play a game that's a single player game or an offline game. I think that's entirely nonsense. And that is something we'll check out day one, but I don't see a world in which that makes sense. I don't see a world in which Nintendo have done that and gone, well, yeah, clearly we've done that. Duh. No, they're not going to have done that. So I think we don't need to worry about that. I hope this is making sense. I feel sometimes like I'm rambling a little bit, but I'm trying to do my best to sort of go through everything, give my opinion, talk about stuff in as much detail as I can. But I go on like random tangents and I end up starting here and ending up over here. I don't know. Hopefully this is making sense. In the updated user agreement, we don't own the console, but rent a license to use the Switch 2. Now, I don't know. I haven't read the user agreement. We should probably all read our user agreements before we sign them and all that stuff, but realistically, don't. I don't know what that means. You don't own the console. Oh, I do, because it'll be in my house. Like, they can't come to my house and take it back. This links back to the, you can't modify it, mess with it, Like, you don't own it as in you get to then take it apart and reverse engineer it. That's kind of not cool. You can't do that and then go, well, I made my own version. I just figured out how you made it. I don't think that's cool. But in terms of like saying you don't own the console, yes, I do. I do own the console. It's in my house. I can play it. I don't exactly know where that statement's coming from. Again, like I said, I haven't read the user agreement, so I don't know the specific wording of that. But again, I don't feel like it's something to worry about. Like, Nintendo are not going to come round everybody's house and take it back. You know, it's not going to happen. So what do you mean you don't own it? You mean they can ban you whenever they want? Well, I mean, realistically, yes. Like, YouTube could ban me whenever they wanted, even though I've done nothing wrong. That doesn't mean I have to live in fear. You know, I have to respect the system and expect the system to work as intended, which I don't think Nintendo are going to go around banning random accounts for no reason. That would be a terrible, terrible move just across the board. I think we're okay. As long as you're being all right, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're not messing around, you're not trying to cheat things, you're not being horrible, you're not doing terrible things on their service, you're fine. And more information, more from this user agreement stuff. In the updated user agreement, we can't sue Nintendo by arbitration clause. However, these are illegal in many countries. Disney has already tried and lost court with this. Again, I don't know. Haven't read it. Again, I don't know why I'm suing Nintendo though. Like, is this more along the lines of, you know, like a class action lawsuit kind of thing? I did that. I was involved slightly in that for the graphics card, the GTX 970 NVIDIA graphics card. I joined a class action, I think it's called, lawsuit, because that graphics card was labeled as a 4GB graphics card, but turns out that you could only actually ever use 3.5. So there was kind of like this big lawsuit thing about it, and you could join if you had a card, and then I think you got some money at the end of it, a little bit of money, which, I mean, I had the card, I bought the card, and so, yeah, I was like, well, I mean, the money's there, I'm going to take it. Is that this kind of deal? Is that what we're talking about? So say if there was something terribly wrong, and a bunch of people jumped in to say, you know, Joy-Cons are breaking within the first week. Yeah, I get that. That would be terrible. But I don't think we're signing to say that we can't complain. And I don't think Nintendo would go, ha, losers, you actually can't sue us. You're not going to get nothing. They'd probably just turn around and be like, right, we're recalling them. Send in your Joy-Cons. We'll replace them. Kind of like they did with the Joy-Con 1s for a period of time. If you had a Joy-Con that you had stick drift on, you could send it in, they'd repair it, send it back, absolutely free of charge, which is the right thing to do when something has just gone wrong. They didn't intend to do that. They didn't know that was going to happen necessarily. They made it right, and they did right in the end. And they did do the right thing by doing that for free and replacing it for free. And so if something like that did happen with the Switch 2, then I would hope that the same system would happen again. Would it be annoying? Of course it would. Yes, I want my thing to work. I want to be able to play it. I want to be able to do that. Having to then send it back, wait a week, wait however long it's going to be for a replacement or it to be fixed. Yeah, it's annoying. It's a pain in the ass. But the fact that they're at least doing that is something. It's annoying, but if it happened, it wouldn't be the worst thing. As long as they made it right, I wouldn't feel the need to sue Nintendo. Why would I sue? They haven't hurt me. They've not caused me physical pain. I don't know how a Switch 2 would do that. Again, I don't think this is a massive case that people are going to be really pissed off. I'll be honest. I don't think that's a real massive point. And I don't think it's something we should worry about. So those were some questions that I had on GameJolt. Now let's quickly pop over to Reddit, because there's a few things on here. Availability at launch. Now, this is yet to be seen. I have been able to get a pre-order fairly easily. I was offered a pre-order via Nintendo themselves. Yes, you did have to be a current online membership holder in order to be then invited, and they did do it via like people who'd most been using the console or been longest online membership havers first. But that kind of makes sense. They're your core audience. They're the people that are going to be most excited for your new console potentially. Those are the people you probably want to offer to it, your most loyal fans, enjoyers, you know. So that makes sense. They have then released it to, you are able to just order as long as you have like an online thing. You don't need to have, as long as you have the online membership, you don't need to have an invite. They've done that. I also pre-ordered it myself through a different website anyway, and that was very easy and simple to do. Obviously, you know, we hope it turns up on time, but the updates I've been getting through the emails seem to say that it will. So in terms of like being able to get hold of one, I don't actually think it'll be that difficult. They're also doing, I know they're doing like some midnight launches, some places here in the UK, and I imagine they're doing it throughout the world in different stores. I'd love to have done that. That would be sick to do. I've always wanted to do that, and I've just grown up in a period of time where that kind of started to be phased out as I got older and like would actually have been able to go to these things. It turned to more digital stuff. So I would have liked to do that just for like the novelty of it. But I mean, realistically, I pre-ordered so that I knew that I would get mine on time. But I don't think it's going to be like a PS5 situation. The PS5 was terrible. For a long time, it was hard to get a PS5, and I don't see the Switch 2 being that same situation. I think Nintendo have done their research well, have seen these previous things happen, like with the PS5 and stuff, and hopefully they are prepared for that, and there is enough consoles out there. Again, we won't know that until release, until we see how many people are trying to get one, can't get one and stuff. But I think they've gone about this in a fair, reasonable way that makes sense. Offering it to your most loyal fans first, because they're the ones that have continually used the Switch and have continually been Nintendo Online members. It makes sense to give it them first, in my opinion. And then they have opened it up since then, you know, weeks before launch, so that if you aren't one of those, but you are interested in the Switch 2, you can grab one. I think it's been fine. GameCube pad only available via Nintendo Store to those invited. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of a shame, but again, I think it's kind of going to be like the N64 controller that they also released. It'll probably come back in stock at a later point, so if you did unfortunately miss out on it, I didn't get one. I would have liked to get hold of one because I played with one at the Nintendo event. It was cool. I like the GameCube, one of my favorite consoles. It's a shame there is a limited number of that, but it's not a necessity to have. You can just play the GameCube games with the Joy-Cons or a different controller. And again, yeah, I think it'll come back in stock. I don't think it's just going to be sold out forever and they just did one launch. I don't think that's the case at all, because these are the first lot of GameCube games that are going to be launching with it. There's going to be more GameCube games coming out in future, so I think they're going to continually restock the controllers. So even though you might have missed out on the first lot, you'll be able to pick one up, I'm sure. Yes, it probably will be by the Nintendo Store, because that seems to be how they sell these like limited edition controllers. I haven't seen the N64 one available anywhere else that I know of. It's just how it is. It's Nintendo. They can sell it through their own store. You know, that's kind of like saying, it's really annoying. I can only download the game from the Nintendo eShop. Well, yeah, because they're the eShop of their own games. Poorer battery life compared to the OLED Switch. Yes, I believe that is the case. That is not incorrect, I don't think. But when you think about it, I believe it has a larger screen than the OLED. It is significantly more powerful of a console. And so, yes, it's going to have an effect on battery life. I think resolution as well, handheld, is also improved. So yes, these things are all going to have an impact on the battery life. It's unfortunate, but they've gone with keeping the console slimmer and smaller than they would have done had they put a big beefier battery in there to give you extra time. So it's sort of like, they wanted to make it portable, so they've kept the battery to a minimum. It means you've got less battery life because of all the enhancements that's been made. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's like saying your phone doesn't have enough battery. Like, have to charge it more, which kind of sucks. Yeah, if you're using it portably or traveling or something, you have to keep charging your Switch, but it is what it is. And I think that's just kind of like a meh point. It's fine. Additional docks only seem to be available on Nintendo Store. Don't know about this. Haven't tried to order an additional dock. Don't feel the need to. But with the Switch one, there's probably going to be quite a lot of aftermarket Switch docks that come out. Hopefully better than the Switch one. I know there were some issues initially with the Switch one aftermarket ones. Hopefully we don't have any of that. But yes, there probably will be ones coming out that will be cheaper, that are not Nintendo branded. They're another company that makes them. And so realistically, if you're looking for an additional dock and you don't need it right away, then you could wait for something like that. I don't imagine it'll be too long after launch that some things like this will be out there. You know, accessories are already coming out, like cases and stuff like that. Yes, this is a bit different, but I don't imagine it'll take them long, especially with how well received and how popular I think the Switch 2 is going to be. I think there will be a lot of companies as quickly as possible making these kind of accessories and selling them, so you'll be able to pick one up cheaply from elsewhere that doesn't specifically have to be the Nintendo Store. Okay, so we've gone over a lot of the negative points, and now I feel like we really want to go over the positives. Having played with it, it was super fun, super enjoyable console to play with. It looked really good. It felt really good. The resolution improvements, massive. The performance improvement, massive. The high refresh rate, I love that. It's better. It's so nice to have high refresh rate. It feels like Nintendo are sort of catching up with the times here. Nintendo have, in the past, been behind. Like with the Wii, it was still not HD when we were getting HD content, and they've been a little bit behind on that. They're catching up now. I feel like we're getting a really good modern console from Nintendo, which I'm very excited about. The way the Joy-Cons attach, I much prefer that. They feel really good. They clonk in. They feel contained. They feel like they're not going to wobble out. They're not going to crack off. They're better than the sliding mechanic. It does feel better. There's a lot of good I can say about this. The GameCube game's coming. I'm so excited about that. Love the GameCube. Been waiting to be able to play Wind Waker on a proper Nintendo console, which doesn't mean I have to go and buy an older one. And now I get to do that. So I'm super excited for that. The microphone system, the game chat, the camera stuff. Now the camera might be a bit of a gimmick that we'll have to wait and see, but it's a fun thing to be able to have. And if it turns out to be a gimmick, at least it wasn't a crazy expensive gimmick or anything like that. If you decide to get it, go for it. And if you don't have to. It's not necessary. It's just an added extra. Like I said, if it doesn't get used, that's fine. Like if you choose not to buy it and you choose not to use it, you're still going to be able to enjoy the Switch 2 without having to use it. But hopefully Nintendo do use it to its full potential and we get some really cool stuff out of it. The mouse controls, admittedly not the most comfortable way to use it. Again, I'm assuming accessories will come out that will make it basically like an actual mouse. And I've even heard rumor that you can plug in a mouse. But it actually works really well. And like, I played the Metroid game at the event and it felt really good. It really kind of just works like a mouse. It makes sense. It reacts well. It turns well. It works. It's cool. And again, while it may be a gimmick, you don't have to use it. You can still play it as you would normally with a controller. You don't have to use the mouse thing. But again, if they decide, if they put the work in, if they put the effort in and the games come out with this functionality, I think it could be really good. As well as so much game support from third parties. Like we're getting like a From Software game, which again, I've not really ever touched a From Software, but it's actually a game I might play purely because it's coming on the Switch 2 and exclusively to the Switch 2. That's really exciting. There's so many things. There's so many things. This video could be like 3 hours long. I'm not going to make it 3 hours long. I'm going to leave it there. My throat is hurting from all the talking and I have a stream later on. So I'm going to finish there. I am very positive for the Switch 2. I understand people having concerns. I get that. Totally get that. And I hope that your concerns turn out to be wrong so that you're just like, oh, it's not how I thought it was going to be. Sweet. Awesome. I'm going to grab the Switch 2. I hope that is the case. I want it to do well. And I don't understand why anybody would want it to not do well. Like, if it does well, that is just good. That is only a good thing. I can understand being concerned. I can understand being wary, and I can understand not wanting to be a day one adopter of new tech or a new console. I have never been a day one adopter of a new console, so this is actually my first time I will be getting a new console day one. It's exciting for me. I understand that it does come with, if there are any issues and stuff, it's going to be my problem. I'm going to have to deal with it. Yeah, if you wait some time until they've figured out any bugs or problems or whatever, perfect. Totally get that. And I understand people being like, I'll wait till Christmas until it's on a sale. Again, totally understand that. Price is a big part of this thing. But all in all, I think it has all the potential to be a really, really great console. Like how well the Switch 1 did, I think the Switch 2 can do even better than that. I genuinely do. With the improvements that have been made and what's to come from the Switch 2, what can be done with the Switch 2, I think it's going to be a huge console. So I'm very hopeful for it. Like I said, day one, I will be making content with it. Hopefully, I will get at least the unboxing, first initial impressions of it out on day one. Also going to do a Mario Kart stream with my brother. He's also pre-ordered the Switch 2, so hopefully we're going to play Mario Kart World online. Just have a drive around, do some driving, do some courses, just play around with it. We'll do that on live stream day one as well. So I hope you guys decide to stick around. If you have any more concerns or you have any more things you'd like to let me know that I maybe missed or didn't mention in the video, please do let me know in the comments. It's something I'm really interested in. It's something I'm excited about. And I just love to see this sort of new tech, new gaming things coming out. I love to take a look at it. It's just interesting to me and it's fun. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe. I will see you next time. Bye.